Any advice you'd offer for others looking to get more into financial modeling, make that a transition from the accounting to doing a kind of a modeling role? Maybe they're in audit, accounting, some other area, and they really want to be working primarily on models. Any advice?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to understand like what part of financial models do you like, right? Or which part of FP&A do you fit into? Like I think everyone has different skills even within FP&A, right? So for example, I can say that I'm very good at three-statement modeling. There can be another person in my team who is very good at SQL, but he doesn't know three-statement modeling, and that's perfectly fine. There can be another guy who is really good at communication, and communication is a parcel of everything that you do, but you can have different skills, and all those skills are useful for FP&A. So I think I would say first it's important to understand why you want to go into financial modeling or FP&A, right? For me, it was the numbers that attracted. It was the I love to think and start from a blank page, but there are people who become anxious or have working out of a blank page. So I think it's very important to understand what you are good at and what you're not good at. And once you decide that there is a part in financial modeling that you are really going to work with, just start with communicating and networking with people who are already in that field, right? That's what I did. And start practicing some of the models. You could take a financial statement for any of the companies, download it from their 10K statement or 10Q statement, start understanding it, make a three-statement model. I think the first three-statement model that I made, taking a 10K was of Lending Club, and I loved it. I remember that after I made the three-statement, I even invested in that company because I thought there's prospects. So start there would be my advice. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks. Great advice there. I love the networking, communicating, and also building your skills. Talking about building skills, I know you're a big believer in lifelong learning. You've done a lot of schooling and different things. How has that idea, that mantra of always trying to learn, how does that make you a better modeler?
Sure. That's a great question. So when I think about that, right, like why did I go for multiple masters, or why do I keep learning? I always feel the urge of, keep
I
learning
was going to guess
something.
you just like pain. That's not it. You don't just like pain. Yeah, anyone who does multiple masters, speaking as someone who did multiple masters, they just like pain is what I thought. No, serious. Go ahead.
I would still say like degrees don't matter that much, right?
No, they don't.
They are definitely one of the mediums of how you could learn, right? But today online learning is huge. But I think when it comes to lifelong learning, for me, it relates, increasing my confidence levels, right? Getting some kind of self-satisfaction, right? So if I am curious, which I am most of the time, I always think there's something to learn, right? If you show me a few Excel functions I don't know, I would be intrigued and I would be curious to know more, right? So that's how I think my journey has led me to here. So as I said, when I was in audit, I came across a financial model and I was intrigued about financial modeling then. When I was a financial modeler, I got intrigued about quantitative finance because I came across VBA. Similarly, when I was financial modeler, I came across some data science stuff. So I'm doing some of data science stuff now. So it's always like a point where I learn something about, and then I have questions about it. I become curious about it, and then I start learning about it. So I think the only fear I have in my life is that I should not lose my curiosity, right? Until I have my curiosity, I would keep learning, is what I feel.
100% agree. I think one of the best skills you can have as a finance professional, FP&A, model building, anywhere where you're at, is being curious. I think that's true of any role, but particularly in finance, when you have to learn so many different things around the business, right? We're a support function. You got to learn how everything else works. So I think curiosity is huge. But I want to ask another question. I think it kind of goes along these ways. But when you and I chatted, you mentioned in your view that financial modeling is a way of thinking. Can you elaborate on that or tell our audience what you meant by that? What do you mean when you say modeling is a way of thinking?
So this is kind of what I want to really communicate here is that one of the key components of doing financial models is first is like thinking critically, right? Critical thinking is part of it. Like in general, like how would you classify a good model or a bad model, right? What is a good model? What is a bad model? I would say in my own terms that a model to which if you throw a good quality of inputs and it throws the correct result, that's a good model. But if you throw bad inputs to a good model, it would still throw a result that is reasonable, But if you throw any kind of input, could be good or bad, to a model which isn't good, the results could be the same, right? And it doesn't change the result. So to me, modeling is something which helps you to understand. I think there's a very favorite, famous statement that you always quote: "Models are always wrong, but some are useful." Right?
Yes, George Box.
And I love that quote. Yeah, it's very popular in the statistics community as well. And what is meant by that is that when you have to model anything, right? It could be for the firm that you're working. It could be something related to your personal life, even, right? Is that you want to understand what's going to happen in the future and what's happening currently and how both of those situations would relate, right? How would things move in the future, right? When you have that question, you take a blank page and then you try to understand and jot down all the points in very simple terms. And then as you understand more and more and you go into that model, things, you also start doing some complex modeling. That's how you actually structure a model, right? So I would say, like, when I said that, financial modeling is a way of thinking. Let's say you have a decision to make in your life, right? Where you have to buy a car or buy a home, right? And I can give you a personal example. I was looking for some houses and I was probably 3 months into the process of looking into houses. And then I started doing some math. I put all my personal finances in a paper. I put where I want to be in terms of financial terms in, let's say, 10 years from now, right? And I did a lot of maths and I understood that this math is not making sense, right? So I made a decision because I made a model. I'm not saying that all decisions should be made quantitatively, but if you have a goal which is quantitative, like having some kind of fun, financial position in your future, at that point of time, a model is really helpful, right? When I was in India, I made a model for my friend where he wanted to understand, how he could save taxes, right? So I understood his personal finances. I made a model for him and it helped him. So I think a good modeler is a person who definitely understands simplicity as well as the complexity of a financial model. There's again a very famous quote that I always keep reminding myself of is when you are constructing a financial model, everything that is simple is false, right? And everything that is complex is unusable, right? So it has to be some kind of a middle ground. And that middle ground actually comes from a place where you have a goal in place and then you start modeling it on a blank page and start going step by step.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to approximate something that's going to happen in real life, right? If it's too simple, it loses some of its usefulness often. There are times when maybe you can keep it super simple and be useful, but it's hard. And when it's super complex, it's a matter of time till people stop using it. It's just a question of when, not if. And so, yeah, there's a total art in trying to find that right balance and know when does it make sense to be detailed? When do you have to make it a little more complex? Yes, we all want simple formulas. We all want it to be simple, and that's the goal. And there's a good reason for that. But there are times when you have to add more complexity than you want. But that's when you need to know your audience. You need to know, can it work in this situation? What are the benefits? And then, just make a smart decision. And that comes with experience. Hence why so many of us have horrible models early in our career, because we don't have the experience.
Absolutely. I think even now I make models which are not like 100% like, accurate, or no model can be accurate. It's always based on the inputs that you're putting.
Totally get it. I'm with you.